Thank you all. It's good to be here with this sea of faces in front of me. I'm going to be talking about open source today. So I thought it would be a good idea to go ahead and talk about what the definition of open source is. And now my slides there we go, want to misbehave. So this is the definition of open source from Wikipedia. Open source is a development model, promotes universal access via free license to a product's design or blueprint, and universal redistribution of that design, including subsequent improvements to it by everyone. Those are the cornerstones, the basics of open source. Now, you're going to see that this can apply to almost everything we're talking about today. That's what's interesting about the open source movement. They've taken this kernel of an idea, and we've moved it to almost everything. In fact, if you think about it, it goes back to science. Basic science is predicated upon the ideas of open source. As Isaac Newton said, if I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants. The idea of science is that it's published. People see it, they try it out, they test it themselves. If it works, they publish that and move on. Now, in software, though, there are lots of open source licenses. That's where most people, when they hear about open source, if they've heard about open source, they think software. And there are plenty of open source licenses out there that define various softwares and the rights that people have when it comes to using those. And in fact, there are some common pieces of software that virtually everybody in the audience today has used at some time or the other. You've used Linux if you've ever used Google. You've used Apache if you've gone to most websites in the world. You've probably used Firefox or the Chrome browser. Maybe you use Android. If you're a software developer, you use Git. The point is that you use open source all the time without realizing it. But there's more than just software when it comes to open source. Arduino is open source hardware. People are taking Arduino hardware and making fantastic things with it. Useful, cool, interesting things using open source hardware. But turns out that Facebook took that one step further and started the Open Compute Project, where they have actually published openly all the hardware standards for their data centers. It's saved them millions of dollars getting ideas from other people. In fact, Microsoft has now joined Open Compute, which should tell you that must be a pretty good idea. But one of the most interesting uses of open source is Creative Commons. This is a project that's been around over a decade now, and the idea behind it is it makes it easy for people to share their work under certain restrictions. Say that you have to give me credit, or you can use it non-commercially only. Creative Commons has taken content from all over users all over the web and made it available to everybody for resharing. One of the most widely used open source technologies on the web is MediaWiki. This is open source software for creating your own wiki. Hundreds of thousands of wikis on the web use MediaWiki as their back-end software. Without it, we would not have access to the wealth of knowledge we see today on the web. And in fact, the most widely used website that uses MediaWiki is Wikipedia, which in fact are the people that develop MediaWiki and then give it away for free. Millions of articles. This is just the English Wikipedia, and there are 4.4 million articles today. Tomorrow that number will go up substantially, as it does every day. But there's more than just that for wikis. You can have the Wikipedia, a Star Wars wiki. You can have comic book wikis for Marvel, video game wikis. You can have lyric wikis for music, millions of songs, dessert wikis, and probably my favorite, Brickipedia, the wiki for people that love Legos and want to keep up with Legos. But now let's move on to education. MIT has been a forefront in this area with the MIT Open Courseware Project. They have published virtually every course taught at MIT on the internet for free. Anyone in the world can see these materials and use them. They're under a Creative Commons license. That gives you the right to use them, learn from them, remix them, as long as you give MIT credit. The Public Library of Science is a repository of scientific articles and journals that are appearing online in response to the high prices and proprietary nature of many scientific journals. It's made a wealth of knowledge available to scientists over the entire world. It's a fantastic thing. Creative Commons license there too. This is an example by Lawrence Lessig, founder of Creative Commons. He wanted to respond to an article on copyright, so he posted this on his wiki and asked the community to respond. And it turned into an amazingly detailed response about copyright on his wiki. It's freely available, and in fact, he's taken it and used it in a book he published, also created together with other people using wikis. This is an example, Open Cola. This is open source cola. The recipe is open source. You can download the recipe and make it yourself, or you can buy the soda from these people and use it that way. But it gives you the ability to take this recipe and tweak it, tinker with it, and make it your own if you drink cola. Here's an example, WikiHouse, an open source construction set for building your own house. And this is allowing people to innovate when it comes to making low-cost, affordable, innovative housing around the world in places where it may be difficult for conventional housing to work. Open source drug discovery is an example of using pharmaceuticals, developing pharmaceuticals in an open source manner, specifically for tropical diseases. This is started by some people in India to help lessen the scourge of tropical diseases in these countries by people collaboratively working together. OpenStreetMap is basically a Google Maps using open data that anybody can contribute to in the world, and the data is available for free to use in whatever application you want to. Apple uses this, for instance. Lots of other corporations and companies and individuals use this in their software. It's amazingly accurate. Public Resource is one of my favorite sites on the web. This guy is taking all the laws of our government and trying to make them public. It surprises most people when they find out that the laws that our government has passed and legal cases are not open and public. He's making it so. Now, the reason why all these people are supporting all these open source efforts all over the internet, all over the web, are many. These are some of the reasons: enjoyment, community, feeling like you're contributing to a community, educating yourself. There are lots of reasons why people contribute to open source. But the fact of the matter is the end result is proving to be truly wonderful things. And an example of eating my own dog food, my own presentation is available under Creative Commons license. So it's available for you to take, remix, as long as you give me credit. I like to give back to the community. I'm a firm believer in open source. And so these are some examples and ways that open source has expanded from far more than just software to ways that are helping to educate the entire world. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Scott.